David and McDonald have proven themselves to be two faces to watch out for in this brand new series, but some other fast names certainly could cause them to look over their shoulders. Honestly, mirror watching might just be the name of the game here at Sonoma. This track is well known for being difficult for overtakes. Will it put anyone on heavy defense? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 3 of the PRL GT4 Clubsport series, and you'll see it all live here on the global SimRacing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Ossian Puhaka. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. We started things out at California's other famous road course with Laguna Seca, but Sonoma has built its own reputation in the past few decades by hosting some legendary races for NASCAR and IndyCar. Let's find out a little bit more about this winding West Coast circuit. Welcome to Sonoma Raceway, one of California's most famous road courses. It resides just north of San Francisco. It's been host to a wide variety of styles of racing, including sports cars, Indy cars, motorcycles, and even drag racing. But in recent decades, it's become most well known for holding one of NASCAR's rare road course weekends. For most tracks, this cornucopia would be a stretch, but considering the array of 5 different layouts to choose from, it's quite easy for the circuit to be adapted to any series needs. Most of the layouts clock in at around 2 to 2.5 miles in length and always feature an impressive amount of elevation change. This means many of the corners present the driver with a blind entry or apex. Some of these have a very distinct visual look, making them instantly recognizable. Corners such as the chute and the final hairpin feature street course-like walls surrounding the track, while the carousel is both picturesque and challenging. With few long straights, passing is often considered very difficult, but it rarely leaves races with a lack of action. Mistakes can be easy to make, offering opportunities for the brave. And it's not just the track itself which is tough. The pit entry's narrow path requires precise driving for those looking to make up time and leapfrog their competitors during stops. With more than 40 years of racing under its belt, Sonoma has become a staple for West Coast race fans. And what could be better than a glass of vino on a sunny hillside while the sound of engines echo around you? Though I know it's known here on iRacing for having a bit of, I guess, well, I don't want to say dead grass, but brown surroundings here at Sonoma. I'll be honest, I think this is some pretty beautiful surroundings at this track here, Austin.
Well, Joe, I wouldn't agree with that one. It makes me miss home, all the green trees, evergreen trees, white scenery, and I'm seeing sand and a bit of grass. But when the grass actually grows, which happens when it rains, it gets all lush. This is a beautiful circuit. Shame it hasn't happened when iRacing scanned this, but it's a beautiful circuit. It's 2.5 miles long, 4.07 kilometers. We got 12 turns on this track, and each are more difficult than the last, and it's gonna be a 45-minute race today.
Should be a difficult race in those 45 minutes, but as always, today's race is brought to you by SimMSA. Simulation Motorsports Affinity provides many consulting services, from completely customizing simulators to managing teams, individual drivers, and complete events. They're working hard to bring organizations, companies, manufacturers, teams, and drivers together at one place to support and promote sim racing internationally. They're also bridging virtual and real motorsports by providing a network between these two, involving sim racers, real drivers, teams, managers, engineers, and of course, motorsport fans alike. You can find out more about how you can get involved at SIMMSA.net. Today's broadcast is also proudly sponsored by ButtKicker. ButtKicker products add an incredible immersion and realism to any game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. Check them out at thebuttkicker.com. Now, championship is a little bit farther along than you'd expect because we are actually on round 3 today. So as we look at the championship, keep in mind that we did not cover round 2, and there's a win apiece between David and McDonald, hence why they are separated by 1 point currently. Romano is back there by 4 more points from McDonald, so he's still definitely in things as well, as shown his pace. And then Prue and Fredes are essentially trying to sort out 4th and 5th for the time being. That, of course, could all swap around since we're so early in the season. Now, they have a teams championship where they have 3 drivers involved in each team. And Ossian, how's that sitting?
Well, we got Davidson Motorsport currently in the lead with 61 points from the first 2 rounds, leading by 41 points over Tysonac Racing, so it's not as close as in the Drivers' Championship. SRT eSport Green is sitting out behind them, and it's Punto CL Racing, Ford, and SRT eSport Blue sitting in 5th place, and they are bunched up pretty close together, but so far so good for Davidson Motorsport.
Certainly seem like their drivers tend to have quite good pace. Now, let's take a look at the race details for today's event as well. Round 3 out of 10, and they have one drop week, which cannot be used in the finale. You got to show up if you want points in that final race. They are using the new Porsche GT4, the Cayman, here on iRacing, one of the latest and greatest vehicles that you can race on the service. And it's going to be 45-minute race, as we mentioned earlier. There is one pit stop expected because of that. They do not have enough fuel to make it to the end. It is open setup, though. Even though these are relatively basic machines, the drivers will want to try and tweak that to find some speed and some comfort. Now, they do have to worry about their incidents. You can see that, even I know that says a drive-through. It is a stop and go that they have at 16X, and they are disqualified if they hit 24 incidents. So they need to keep it clean. Granted, this is not a track known for racking them up too much without getting damage. And there's the bonus points down at the bottom on how they can earn some of those in the championship. Right now, qualifying is underway. And it is Eric LeBlanc, interestingly, who is up on the provisional pole position. And, well, I take that back because James David just took it away as I said that.
Yeah, it's just typical luck, you're looking it up, oh, who's going to be on the pole, and Sebastian Proa now rising to the 2nd place, and this is what you expect, Joe, with these Porsche cars. They get faster and faster as the tires start to get heat into them, so first couple of laps they're going to be pretty slow, but these guys are getting aging like fine wine, getting better and better as the session rolls along. So we're gonna see faster and faster lap times. Now I'm expecting many of the drivers to maybe split their qualifying into 2 stints. So they're gonna drive maybe 5 laps, 6 laps per stint, then gonna come in, get some new boots under them, maybe tweak their setup just a little bit, and then prepare themselves for that one last rush. Now in terms of the weather, it's typical California. I don't see any clouds in the sky, so there is no reason not to wait for that cloud cover to get the car under better conditions, to get the track a little bit cooler. The track is cool enough, it's heating up all the time, but that's not gonna make a big difference in a 15-minute session.
Without those clouds, too, you have to think this is early in the morning right now. That's just after 9 a.m. virtual standard time. I wonder if that's going to heat the track up quite a bit. They do have a stiff breeze kind of blowing across the track right now. Talking about those tires as well, I don't think it's just getting them heated up that's going to be a talking point. There's a lot of fast corners around this track, and some of them put quite a bit of a load. I know the carousel is the first one that comes to mind for me. Is one side of the car or the other going to suffer pretty intense wear, or do you think it's going to be an issue as the race progresses?
It is a 45-minute race, and it is a bit longer than you usually see these cars race, so potentially I do see it becoming an issue if the drivers slide these cars around too much. And I know these cars have a traction control, ABS, and even a stability control, which to me are like the 3 horsemen of apocalypse, if you ask me about racing cars. But you can still get pretty sideways with these cars. You can lose it. You can overheat those tires easily by pushing the car a little bit too hard. So if you are not careful about the tires, I can see that some of the snails are gonna beat some of the hares.
Now, I mentioned Romano, who seemed to show pace when we were watching at Laguna Seca. Well, he's within about a 10th of James David now. He's bumped himself up into 2nd. Still, that's not a good distance of a gap, even at about a minute and a half for lap times. He's going to want to get closer than that. So let's see what Glenn Bowen can do as he comes around and comes across the line. A 144 is his quickest, and he's about a 10th faster. So it looks like that's going to bump him up a few spots. Jerome Bertome as well in 8th, goes quickest that time by for him. A 37.9 is going to jump him up to 7th now.
And Jefferson Padovani is in an interesting position in his car number 69. He is behind Daniel Zegers, who is a little bit faster than him, actually over half a second faster than him. So he has a good toe if he decides to use it. Now draft in these cars is not that large. You know, it is a minuscule draft, but he can still see the lines taken by the faster driver. He gets a bit of an advantage on a straight line. So Jefferson may be putting that to good use as the session rolls along.
Ooh, and LeBlanc displaces David by a little less than a tenth. So LeBlanc back to the pole. We started out this qualifying coverage saying he was up there, and well, he's returned to it. Bruce Jones also coming across to try and go quicker, and he does by quite a margin. So that is going to move him up to 27th. You talked about, as we take a look at McDonald, seeing if he can go any quicker from third. You talked about the draft, and usually when we talk about that, in a lot of series we cover, that involves maybe some fuel saving, which, like you said, I don't think that's going to be an issue here. Even still, pit stops are an important part, and McDonald did go quicker, by the way. He hit a 37.2. Pit entry, pit exit here. I don't know about you, but I know I've borked those myself a few times. More exit involves getting entangled with other cars, but do you see the drivers today having problems?
Maybe. I don't think it's gonna be that big of an issue, you know. The pit exit here is pretty straightforward. Sure, you come back on the road, but the drivers can see you, and you should really look for a proper spot. Now, it doesn't have the typical issue of not being able to see in your relative bar. These drivers have a relative bar on the right where they can see the gaps to front and back. So they shouldn't have that issue of, you know, seeing only other pitting cars in there. They can see each other pretty well. You can look in the mirror, and you tend to take a bit of a wider line with the Porsche maybe on turn one. So I don't see that becoming too much of an issue, but just as I say that, you know, Joe, of course somebody's gonna crash out just there and I'm gonna look like an idiot.
I mean, that's sort of our lot in life as commentators, is to look
Yes.
like fools every so often. As we got about 3.5 minutes left here in the qualifying. Cristelli, this last one, about 2/10 quicker, but he stays in 14th, so no jump up on that one.
Ooh, Giovanni Romano, he's been pretty fast. He's been pretty fast indeed, and he is on another flyer. Look at that lap time. That is a very, very interesting lap because it's over half a second faster than everyone else last time by, and he is on yet another lap, so he's trying to improve even more. He's got Jeremy Daniel in front of him, actually, and Daniel is maybe just a little bit too slow for Romano's liking, but look how wide his line is through those corners, and Giovanni, I must say, he's found something that nobody else has so far.
Oh, Mark McDonald's getting close. He just crossed with a 2/10 off time of a 36.7. So he's getting there. But yeah, that is a whopping gap, much larger than what we were seeing before, as Daniel Zegers, currently sitting in ninth, is followed by Eric Luke across the line, who is one position up.
Yeah, Giovanni is slowing down a lot in the last corner. You can see him taking a wide line into the final hairpin, wanting to create a gap and wanting to get as good of an exit as possible. And this will be his time to shine, Joe. I really do think so.
If he doesn't get this one, he'll have one last chance to sneak one in, as long as he doesn't wreck the car, because he was crossing with a little over 2 minutes left to go. Tyler Gore as well. Wow, he's got a lot of time to make up. This is way far down for the number 7, because he's only hit a 42.2, and that last lap did not count. So he's got to start hustling.
And it's a very difficult place to start hustling too, because he's one of those guys who hasn't got too many clean laps in. He's actually just got one proper lap in. So he's had a very messy qualifying session indeed. I hope he can find some time in the final couple of laps to get himself some good positions. Tyler's not a bad driver, you know, but he's just having a bad day in qualifying. Let's hope he can find the race to be more fortunate than the qualifying session.
And Eric LeBlanc is not going to improve, so 4th is the highest he will see. He comes into the pits, and this is not enough time to return to track and get a flyer started. Daniel Zegers, looks like he did not go quicker that time. In fact, that must have been a lap where he also was trying to set himself up, because he was quite a few seconds off the pace. Let's see
But I
who
would
we
look at
have.
Romano now. He is coming into the final hairpin. He is still in the toe of Jeremy Danielle, but he left enough of a gap. I don't see that really Daniel, disrupting his lap at all, and he's gonna get a nice throw out of the last corner. Jeremy spinning out even in front of him, giving him a nice little run. So let's see if he improves his time.
Canadian crosses the line. It's a
Oh!
36-2.
Wow!
Holy
Hats off.
smokes. That is quite an improvement. 2/10 off of your best time when you'd already had 2/10 over the next best car is something special. McDonald, can he respond? We're waiting for James David, one of our other championship runners. Looks like McDonald is trying to start a flyer here because he also was taking a very wide line through the final hairpin. So I expect this to be a slow lap for him. This is David we see on screen. And indeed, McDonald is going to give it one more go with about 10 seconds left on the clock. This is James David's last chance to try and improve, while Romano is actually behind him and could still snipe him once they get to that checkered flag.
Yeah, David's gonna be the first one to come over the line. Romano's gonna be the next one, and then it'll be all eyes on whether Mark McDonald can improve. Now, McDonald's timing was excellent. He crossed the line 10 seconds before the session was over, so he can see whether anyone has improved, and he will see what he needs to do. Of course, there's not much you can do about that in that final hairpin. David's abandoning his lap, so it's Romano next one over the line.
Oof. That's another driver we're seeing not willing to take his last lap as Romano Padavani comes across, and he didn't improve. Romano now to the line, and he's got 4/10 ahead of everybody else. Can he? Oh my goodness, and he improves it yet again. It's much smaller gaps, but it's at least half a second. McDonald is the only hope for anybody to try and cut this down, at least in qualifying. Race may be another story, but he's got his clan's colors on. Can he represent them well?
He's very, very, very aggressive on the double right-hander on the back of the track, as well as that corner. You can see the car going a little bit sideways, but I'm not sure if it's going to be enough. It's going to be very tight with Romano. 136.2 to beat. Not quite able to do it. Nice try, though.
Down to a 10th. That's a good sign for our viewers, at least, who want a close race. Think that was the last one. It is indeed. McDonald is the very last person to put a lap in. That means it's time for our starting grid. Giovanni Romano. He keeps getting quicker and quicker here in the qualifying. Can he do the same in the race? He's got to beat Mark McDonald to the line. He hasn't had a win, whereas Mark has. James David, another of our winners so far this season, starts third behind them. I'm sure he would like to notch up victory number 2. Eric LeBlanc will be in fourth with Daniel Zegers starting P5. To his outside, it's going to be Kenny Duval. Jerome Bertome managed to get up to 7th, but no higher, with Sebastian Prue in 8th. And Eric Luke starts 9th today with Marco Oliveira next to him.
It is Matt Hilton in an 11th place. Alongside him will be Jorge A. Flores, Nicolas Del 13th, Jeremy Danielle 14th, then it's David Cristelli 15th, Steve Baker 16th, not quite a baker's dozen for him, 3 places off that one. Christopher Richards in 17th place, Jefferson Paravani 18th, Mark File 19th, and Kyle Streichhardt rounding out your top 20.
And we got Kenny Rodriguez in 21st with Mike Richter to his outside. Spencer Simkovich starts in 23rd, and Mark Kalin in 24th. Anthony Carbone Jr., P25 for him, followed by Andy Spicer in the 26th spot. Troy Banks will start in 27th with Tyler Gore, not able to make up anything in that qualifying, all the way down in 28th. And Bruce Jones starting 29th. Last 2 drivers put a time in are Bill Kraus in 30th and Glenn Bowen in 31st. Webb, Crouch, Hotham, and Duchesne round out the field, but it looks like Crouch and Webb are not in the session right now. So I do believe we are going to see 33 drivers take to the grid.
It is still a field plenty enough to make for an interesting race here at Sonoma. It is a track that has went by many names in its history, but today we know it as Sonoma for the location, and we know it as a place where overtaking will be extremely difficult, even with these GT4 cars that are known to race very tight. Look also, Joe, one other thing I would like to remind the viewers to look out for in the opening laps are those cold tires. Okay, you have a warm-up lap, but you don't have time to warm up the tires very much in that. And then when you come onto the main straight, you head into a very fast left turn 1 after a kink, and then a fast turn 2 and 3 and 4. They don't give much room to breathe either. So we are going to see some mistakes on those opening couple of corners. How big those mistakes are, well, that just comes down to these 33 drivers.
Yeah, I'm hoping that we get a clean start. Unfortunately, we had a bit of a mess in the first corner at Laguna Seca on the first lap. And here, well, it's not the first corner necessarily. Well, actually, no, it is like Laguna Seca because the first corner technically is a little kinkier. And it was Andretti that we had the accident into. But semantics, anyways, the first braking zone of both tracks tend to cause a lot of problems. We've seen in IndyCar in the real world that the drivers have had pileups, have had damage happen to the front of the field as well as the back as drivers have come in there too hot. Go ahead.
Was it Marcus Ambrose that once in NASCAR, I believe, shut down his car in the first corner while he was leading under a pace car?
You know, if he did, I didn't know about that, but I'd love to hear the peanut gallery if that's accurate, because that's got to be embarrassing on his end.
One of the road ringers in NASCAR managed to shut down his car, and I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but it might have been Marcus Ambrose. I also have the name of Boris Said in my head, but I wouldn't forget about that off-road, man. I wouldn't.
I mean, you can do that on iRacing here now, but I doubt any drivers are going to be doing that on the pace lap here. So we watch them come down into one of the few passing zones down into the hairpin at this track. I always found this a bit accident prone, this hairpin, just because of that double apex here, Ossian.
A bit accident prone. It's more like it's baking there, you know, it's spreading honey all over itself, and it's like, come accident piece, come and lick me. You know, it's a mess, but it's a wonderful mess. It's just one of those corners that will provide action each and every time, and we call it the danger spot in rally driving, and well, it's the same in circuit driving. But let's hope everyone makes it through clean on these first couple of corners, because I am afraid for these drivers, Joe.
Well, let's hope we don't test that new damage model too much, because we're getting ready to see how the racing will be for 45 minutes as Giovanni Romano is going to lead them around the hairpin. He's got control of the field, and he takes off right away. Green flag is out here for round 3 of the PRL GT4 Clubsport Series. Top 3 are already single file. It's going to be side by side for 4th place between Zegers and LeBlanc. LeBlanc's going to go the long way around, but that'll give him the inside into turn 2, and he's smoothly into there. Looks like pretty much everybody actually single file by the time they hit this crest. It is a clean start.
Only driver having some issues in position, no need to go to it, but P number 24, Mark Kylin in car number 62 hit the wall on first corner on the outside. But aside from them, a pretty clean start and a pretty good start for the entire field.
So maybe everybody waiting to try and get those tires up to temperature. You can see the leaders coming down the carousel now. This dumps them onto the drag strip. Romano looking a little wide, but he keeps it tidy. McDonald with a completely different line to him stays equidistant behind. Look at the top 3 starting to already stretch away from those back there behind them. As they come around the hairpin for the first time, checking to see if we got any attacks, but really no, this is an incredibly calm start.
Yeah, maybe someone has briefed drivers about the dangers of first lap, and they are all playing possum so far, waiting to really show their fangs later on in this race. There are some good battle packs starting to form, but it is the first lap, so you expect that, but nobody's really looking aggressive so far, and I really like to see that. The one interesting thing are the two Speedworks racing cars, Jorge Flores and Matt Hildon. Flores going around him to the outside, and it seems like Matt was pretty happy to let him going back by on the inside of the hairpin toe, and they are still quite close to each other in positions 11 and 12 in cars number 15 and 29, with Nicolas Delp following them through, but they are both outside the top 10, and that's the last thing you need to do as teammates, Joe. You don't want to battle in this point of the race, and here comes Flores again.
Goes on by Hilton. Oh, behind them. Look at it stack everybody up, though. This is Delp, Daniel Baker, who had a little bit of an attack from Cristelli, but Cristelli backs out of it. Padavani in there as well. They call him Glitter Pants here in this series, and he's currently stuck way back in the field as he's going to get an opportunity with Cristelli going wide. That red and black machine, that is Padavani as they go side by side, actually banging doors coming down through that plunging corner.
Yeah, banging doors, and Cristelli not gonna give up. He's gonna be on the inside and he's gonna get a better exit if he keeps it tight, and he does. Very difficult to follow through around the outside here, and once again the driver on the inside has the advantage, but here comes Padavani again, not about to give it up.
Sends it in deep down into the hairpin, and he does get it woed up in time, so no over-under from Cristelli. Nice move by the number 69 car. Now, on the first lap, I did notice on our screen, we caught Eric LeBlanc having a big off coming through turn 10. And he's got to watch out. We mentioned everybody seeming to take it easy. I don't think Eric is taking it easy with a scary moment like that. And it's certainly not helping him because he's still about a second behind David in third.
Yeah, he's still driving better than Matt,
As he comes across the line to start lap 3 now. Had a bit of a change for Strykars back there. I think he lost his spot to Mark File. This is in 17th position. He's stuck amidst 4 cars, 3 surrounding him. Our Strykars, File, like we mentioned, and Richter and Rodriguez as well trailing behind.
Yeah, Mark File was already trying to pass him earlier in the lap, not able to do it, but he got it done in the hairpin, and as a result of that, Strikehards is yet another Speedworks Racing Team eSports car, and we have a battle for the lead show, I believe. So Romano under attack.
Yeah, McDonald's not letting him get away with it easily. James David back there as well, just stalking the two. They continue to hold Eric LeBlanc at bay, who is steadily keeping the gap at about 1 second. Out of the double apex hairpin, they're all looking for that good exit, and everybody nice and smooth. And now the single file S's that lead to that scary turn 10.
Yeah, and this is, let's remind again, this is the championship top 3 as well, only in reverse order. James David leading the championship, Mark McDonald in the second place, and Giovanni Romano rounding out your top 3. And Giovanni currently in the lead of this race, so he's doing well for himself so far, but he is under a lot of pressure. McDonald so much better on the brakes so far, and that's a really surprising feature. Maybe Giovanni has lower starting pressures, maybe Mark is just better on the race pace, who knows. The gap wasn't much between the two in qualifying, and it's certainly not much between them under racing conditions either.
Once again, fascinating to see the different lines and driving styles between McDonald and Romano, because McDonald was much tighter to the inside of those barrels around the hairpin corner, but he's certainly putting a lot of pressure on. He's staying maybe 1 to 2 car lengths back from Romano for much of the lap. And don't look now, LeBlanc every once in a while starts to gain a little bit of time on them, but he seems to gain and then fall and then gain and then fall.
Yeah, he hasn't found the car under him just quite yet. He knows he has the pace, but whenever he feels like he has to just push harder to catch up to the leaders, the car's failing him a little bit. He needs to wait at this point. The race is still young. It's about 8 minutes in, and so Eric LeBlanc has time to catch up to the leaders, especially if they are as close as they are, Romano and McDonald, once again right up to each other.
Don't need to go back to it, but Jeremy Daniel had a spin. He got a touch from behind. I think it was Steve Baker who got into him. I'll have to confirm, but I believe that's who I saw. Now out of turn 10 and down into the hairpin. Just a horrible exit there for McDonald. He was so close and suddenly drops away just when he needs it. They all accordion back together through this slow right-hander, and it's off to the line once again to complete another lap. We're already 5 minutes past into this race, so but they are starting to tick away, but there's plenty left to go, so there's certainly time for strategy to show itself.
Yeah, and I can confirm that to you. It was indeed Steve Baker hitting him into the exit of turn 4, and Spencer has a problem too, bit further behind him. So let's see what happens.
Simkovic, he's going to get away very close Watch this through the S's. Just a very glancing nudge up against the tires. Watch this car leave him. Woo. Now the wing. Oh, okay. The wing was gone. Well, and then it's gone again. The server can't tell if he's got it or if he doesn't.
The Schrödinger's wing.
You took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to go right there.
But you forgot the name, and I had it on the tip of my tongue.
All right, there we go. Okay, so it seems it's official that he has lost that wing, which is going to make life a little bit difficult. Canadian is going to have to come in and try and get a new one plopped on there. Meanwhile, back to the leaders, the McDonald and Romano battle is continuing. It seems like James David, I don't know if he's giving them a gap or if they're starting to stretch that.
Yeah, it's interesting to see why David is not able to follow them quite as close as they come into the hairpin once again, and again they are behind each other, and this is what I wanted to talk about. Earlier on, you mentioned differing cornering styles. Now you see both of the leaders going very close to the hairpin, inside, braking early. James David, I don't know if he made a mistake or if it's his style, but he seems to diamond that final hairpin. Look how late he brakes, almost catches to the back of McDonald and 10 diamonds that more, and there are two schools of taking hairpins in the racing world. One is diamonding and one is just taking it smooth around the corner, so that might be just a difference in driving styles. Both are fast, both can be fast, this is in both, even in Formula 1.
Watching from on board, James David continuing to chase. You know, I keep mentioning Jefferson Padavani. We don't have to go back to him right now. He's been making some nice climbs. He's 6 positions up from his qualifying into 12th. So keep an eye on him. He could wind up our Charger. A little bit behind him, we've got something of a train. I think this is for 17th with Kyle Strykar's Richter, File, and Carbone Jr. File's lost a couple spots. He was up at the front of this group moments ago.
Yeah, he's seeming to be struggling so far, but let's see if he can pick it up once again as the race goes on. Mark Fire, remember, he also had that contact earlier on. The back end of his car, it's a little bit banged up, so maybe he's just trying to find a car under him as Richter in front of him goes wide, and Mark File's gonna have a chance on the outside. Let's see if he can make it work. It's not easy around the outside here, but he's not going for the crossover. He's trying it around the outside, and he can't quite make it work. So Richter is able to actually come back in front of him, and that means that he's gonna be back hounding him through the S's, but as you know, Joe, no overtaking here.
Richter's lucky he didn't spin the car. There was a lot of load on those right side tires when he was off in the dirt. Oh, he's very slow here into turn 10. Once again, under attack from File, but like you said, no overtaking there. It's very difficult. In fact, he's going to go defensive slightly with Carbone Jr. behind him. He's not going to be able to get through, but now they're going to be 2 by 2 potentially. Richter able to stay ahead. Just seems like File and his teammate Christopher Richards each taking a very similar line, while the other two near them are complete opposites.
Indeed, so and up ahead of him, no need to go to it. Matt Hilton lost a position. Oh,
sorry, Carbone Jr. just got into, was that File? Oh, and more contact. That was Kalen getting into File.
Oh yeah, that's a difficult situation. You can see it all starting with Carbone Jr. trying for a desperate pass into turn 2, braking way too late. He saw the door wasn't open. Come on, man. Mark File was in there. He was in the middle line. He's gonna blame Mark for that, for turning into him. But really, Mark had no way to expect a pass there, and it was Carbone who should have braked earlier. He tried to go for an aggressive move. I know he tried to just improve his position, but that has caused 2 cars to collide into each other. Richards as well, picking up a little bit of damage of that one, and Kalen too. So that's a 4-car wreck, basically, because you try to be a little bit too greedy.
I was just watching Tyler Gore after that, and we saw him go off in the background there. Now, what's interesting about this is the reason I had my camera on him, he snuck through that wreck very nicely, but in his side-by-side battle, you can see he unfortunately weaved to the right when it's a left-hand turn, and well, when you do that, you're going to find the grass.
Yeah, and, you know, do you want to see a roll?
A roll?
Yes.
Or
Mark
Kelly
on the exit of turn 7 on lap 7 He actually, I believe, what happened to him is that his right rear came loose at the exit of the corner and he just couldn't control the car anymore. And there you saw the new damage model, the wheel nuts getting loose. And well, once we get the replay, you're gonna see where it leads to. But that's a very interesting one indeed.
That was involved in that near contact. So it must have had some sort of ghost contact or something. As we see this battle on screen. Oh, look at this.
Yeah, Sebastian Croix and Jerome Berthom fighting it out with Kenny Duval right behind them. So it's going to be so far Jerome taking out the lead in Catback. Kenny Duval losing 2 positions this time by, and we're not going to get this roll. I'm very sorry about that, but there was a roll on track. And these guys on screen right now, they were 3 wide at one point and they were able to make it clean through. So that's what happens when you respect your fellow driver and give him room. We don't get a 4-car wreck, we get a 3-car great battle pack.
So they're all going to settle into a single file line now that they've got that sorted out. And this single file line up at the front as well between Romano, McDonald, and David, still about half a second apart from one another. And now they are dropping LeBlanc for sure. It's up to 2.2 seconds back to that 5.42. He is definitely dropping. These three are not letting up. This pace is pretty impressive. A 36.7 for James David, who's third in line. Compare that to his qualifying pace, which he ran a 36.
Padovani has spun. Number 69 in P number 10. He has spun around at the exit of turn number 2, I believe, and that's just him being a little bit too greedy. He had a good lap last time by, but he lost it on a braking into turn 2, and that's going to be him around and losing a lot of positions. So you bet him for a hard charger earlier on, Joe, and he was charging hard, but he was maybe going a little bit beyond his skill level, or at least the grip level of the car, I should say.
This is a good exit on screen here that we had from McDonald. Still chasing Romano. So he's not giving up a lot of the time right now, but it looks like he is dropping back. I wouldn't think the aero wake is a big issue in these cars, but it seems like he's struggling sometimes through these twisty bits.
Well, it may be the aero wake, but it's not as much that as it is just driving behind another car. It is because you can't see so well. It's a simple reason of that. You can't see the exit so well, but you can see McDonald trying for a different exit plan now. He has a strategy and he wants to get closer and closer, but he wants to also allow himself a good exit. Now what he needs to do is study what Romano is doing here, find out his weakness, and identify the corner where Romano is going to get worse exits off, and then just try to, get him on the next straight. And if that fails, he's going to try him under braking. In fact, I think that's what McDonald's doing so far. He's trying him under braking. He's seeing, okay, how late can that car number 99 brake? How late can I brake? Can I get him under braking? Potentially not, but that's another thing that's gonna come into life in this race, as are the lap cars. You saw them passing Glenn Bowen just now, and they are gonna pass many more cars over the course of this race. So that's one opportunity that's gonna open. So Mark McDonald right now, he is studying Romano. He is not in a hurry just yet. They got David behind him, but it looks like to me that it's gonna be between the top 2. David so far hasn't found the pace to challenge him. He can keep up, but he cannot get close.
We have a couple drivers taking our first scheduled stops. Jones and Spicer are in. Now, Mark File has been in and out, but I think that is not scheduled because that seems a little too early for him. That must have involved the damage he had from that incident. We continue to watch from Romano's view, looking back here at McDonald's. And every single time, oh, no, not this time. I was just about to say, every single time a different line between them. But this time, Romano seems to change his up.
Yeah, I just hope McDonald doesn't go for the drive-through here.
Well, he's certainly going to have to work hard to try and take this position away from the 99 because he's been holding him at bay. And those top 3 are exciting, but we've also got a little bit of a battle down in 11th. Cristelli, we were watching this earlier. Ooh, a little bit of a look to the inside there from Baker. We just saw the tail end of that. He's trying something on Delp. And I think these 3 have actually changed positions just recently. I want to say Delp lost 11th to Cristelli last time through here.
Yeah,
Ooh,
yeah, he
contact.
did last time by indeed, and his lap, well, at the early point of this lap, Cristelli was actually getting ahead of Delp in turn number 2 on the exit of turn number 1, but now Delp has lost that position once more,
Far
and
off.
that was Andy Spicer a lap down off that you saw her lap down. So a lot of drivers having difficulties and a lot of drivers finding Sonoma to be a real challenge. But in a lot of ways, Joe, it reminds me, okay, I'm gonna get crucified for this. But it reminds me a lot in some characters about the Nürburgring Nordschleife. It's a completely different circuit, but it has the same characteristic in that not too many people actually know their way around this track, and those who do, they're going to be mighty fast indeed. And it has a lot of similar corners as well. It has a similar flow.
Certainly seems like something of a specialist track. We've seen some drivers who just dominate here as we hop on board now with Baker looking ahead. He's not afraid to get close up behind Nick Delp and lose a little bit of that visibility, but he's trying to back it up, sends it in very hot into turn 10, and that's going to keep Delp safe now that they come up to that pit entry and final hairpin.
Yeah, and you can once again see different approaches in the final hairpin. Delp taking it very differently to both Baker as well as Cristelli ahead of them. So, it's a different approach to hairpin driving, but Baker definitely looking to the inside in turn number 1. Let's see if he can make it work. No, he can't make turn number 2. That's another thing that you're gonna see. You're gonna fool the guy ahead to defend the position and then get him on the crossover. And we've seen some wonderful moves in turns 1, 2, and 3 with that approach of, fooling the guy to defend and then doing sort of a double crossover, and getting them on the exit of 3 with a move you started already going across the start-finish line. So you have to really, really plan ahead here. But keep a cool head, plan ahead, and Steve Baker, I think he is able to get some positions here. By the way, he is right now in that Baker's dozen.
Perfect. Well, behind him, if you're looking for some flash and some flair, Glitter Pants has joined the party. And knowing that he is slightly
Baker,
out of
Baker,
position.
Baker.
Down to the inside. Steve Baker sends it in very deep. But here comes Padavani trying to see if he can take advantage. He's not quite close enough. That was a shocking move from the number 2, but he made it work.
Yeah. Yeah, that was that was actually in a line between a late break and a dive bomb. That was a dive bomb, but he was clear before the entry of the corner, and Delp, I don't think he saw him coming. Had he seen him coming, he would have taken a crossover and would have been a continuing battle. But fair enough, Baker caught him with his pants down.
And, well, the other Pants in the equation, Glitter Pants, is in the pits. So the 69 car is coming down. I think he saw all the battling in front of him, decided maybe it's better I just jump them in with strategy.
And he also spun a couple of laps ago from P number 10, so that might be an issue too. So he wants to just, avoid the battling, take the early plan, try to get him behind all the battles, get some clear air. We know he can't be fast. And meanwhile, we got a battle for position number 5 as well.
Yeah, and 6 is even closer. It's between Zegers and Bertome for 5th. But here comes Prue up behind him. And Bertome might have to go defensive. No, he's just going to hold his line. No attack as well from Sebastian. The 79 stays back in 7th position. I scared myself for a moment back when Padavani pitted because I thought he was coming straight through, but I keep forgetting that this pit lane has that weird separation halfway through it. As this battle now works its way through the S's. We're actually getting close to halfway through the race, so anybody who does want to split it perfectly in 2 are coming up to their pit window here.
I'm very interested to see what Mark McDonald does here on this race, because he has caught right back up Romano once again. Last time by 1/10 faster. On the previous lap he was 3/10 faster, and he almost seems as if he's stuck behind Romano. So he can maybe pit 1 lap earlier, get that undercut, get a really good lap in, but so far not enough drivers have pitted behind him to make it work, because he will be right back on the traffic if he pits now, so he cannot do it just yet.
As we look at McDonald's, it's about car length between them, and it's very strong here into the carousel. He's taking a bit more of that diamonding approach that you keep talking about, and I think it's going to pay off because look at the launch that he got off of there. Is Romano going to defend? He doesn't cover him off. Here comes McDonald looking to the inside, but he's not quite good enough on the brakes. He's going to stay in there. Car slides a bit as he tries to keep it from running into the back of Giovanni. So everybody stays put, but things are getting incredibly tense up with the top three.
Man, it's like a hot dog stand outside of a bar. Perfect positioning from Giovanni Romano here, and the way he took that double right-hander, you know, he was just giving him a room maybe on the inside if he wants to cut across, and he was braking so late on the outside that McDonald had no chance. He didn't want to brake too late, he didn't want to lock up the brakes, run into Romano, and Romano was kind of trusting him not to do that. So even though McDonald was getting good of a run, Romano here is showing that he can defend his position, and he can be also a very, very difficult driver to overtake. And you know, the way he's able to think so far in this race, defend his position, I'm not seeing any cracks in that armor so far.
And Andy Spicer off again. You see in the background, he gets back on just another self-spin. He's having a bit of trouble in this car. You know, the thing that I wonder about, because you talked about the strategy, the potential for pitting to overtake. We did see that at Laguna Seca. I remember, I think it was David and Seitz who had slightly different strategies, and that actually helped decide the race. We're looking at the battle between Prue and I believe this is Jerome. Yes, still for 6th place. Still being hounded by Sebastian.
The leaders are getting very close indeed, and once again, sorry, McDonald wasn't quite able to make it work, but he was once again right up to Romano. But that's an interesting thing for the storyline of this race, if I may say so briefly before we go back to that mid-pack battle. McDonald saw what Romano was able to do last time by a brake later on the outside, and this time he did not even try.
So as they come up to the hairpin, still a little bit too far back. I don't think we'll see anything from McDonald. Anybody of them risking pitting? Nope. Everybody's going to stay put. Let's go back to Prue and Bertholm, because they also were getting tight once again through that same hairpin. Now they come up to the second and final one. Sebastian Prue, can he get enough of a run here? I don't think this is doable from that far behind.
Seger speeding from P number 5 ahead of them, so he's taking the early approach. And meanwhile, Prue getting behind the inside.
Highest bidder right now, Steve Baker. He's in 19th in the number 2. He's been in and out. Is Zagers going to be joining him, or is he going to wind up being our highest bidder here after this?
Oh, leaders side by side. McDonald up to the inside of Giovanni Romano here, exiting turn number 4, but not quite able to make it work.
Oof, that's the most aggressive we've seen him so far. I mean, look at what this is doing with David. Now he's poking his nose in as they've got more traffic. That's going to be Glenn Bowen just staying out of the way. Nicely done by that yellow and red Porsche. And they come up to the hairpin once more.
Yeah, very good getting out of the way, seeing the situations. Not all lappers see that, but he did, so kudos to Glenn Bowen here. But yeah, they're very close, and McDonald was almost getting through him. I'm not sure if he wants to get him before the pit stops, or if he's thinking, okay, this is my last charge, and if it's not going to work, I'm going to see where they land and maybe pit this time or next time by, who knows. He might risk it, but if I was James David, I would consider going into the pit lane now as the leaders are battling. Let's see if he does it. Oh no, he doesn't.
That's the closest we've seen McDonald get to him coming into this hairpin too, but he didn't attack this time, so apparently he doesn't like the way that one feels compared to what we saw a little bit earlier. But curious that it was in turn 4, I think it is, that right-hander, the 90-degree right-hander plunging downhill that McDonald tried, of all places, to sneak one in. They're coming back up to it here soon. Unless he gets a lot closer, I don't think we'll see a repeat.
No, he's not quite close enough. But maybe McDonald, you know, maybe he's getting a run into turn number 7 that we saw earlier on.
To answer the question before, Zagers was out way ahead of Baker. But what about Jerome Bertholm, who now pits? Looks like Zagers is probably going to jump him. Cristelli also pitting. And indeed, Zagers is already through just as Jerome is now coming past the cones, and he's on track. He'll return in about 11th.
Yeah, and that's not the best place to return into because you got a lot of cars around you.
Oh, and Castelli just overshot his box slightly. Not something we talk about a whole lot here in pit stops with these cars.
Yeah, and we are back in the leader, so let's see Giovanni Romano and Mark McDonald. See if McDonald can challenge him once again because he's getting very close into the final hairpin. He's half a car with ahead and he's looking to the inside this time around, but not able to make it work. However, did he fool Romano to brake too late? No, he didn't, but Romano getting later and later in the braking. He's better under brake so far, but McDonald is starting to get those good runs into him. And still James David, I don't know if he's leaving a gap on purpose or not, but he's catching right back up in turn number 1 and then he's losing ground once more, so I don't know what's up with that. Maybe he just wants to give them battling room?
Not sure. Worth noting too that LeBlanc, who is in 4th, is 13 seconds ahead of Sebastian Prue, who is in P5. Oh, a little deep into the corner there from James David as we watched on board. We're giving a little bit of a look back to the 542 of Eric LeBlanc. So even though he's not got the pace to keep up with the leaders, he's certainly dropped the rest of the field. He's just kind of in no man's land right now.
Yeah, he's having one of those what you call boring races, really. Just battling against time, see if something drops into his lap, but so far nothing really, but he's still in a good pace, so you know we have to see what happens with him. Meanwhile, Romano, McDonald and David still battling it out, and once again David losing ground compared to early points of this lap, and where he is losing ground is that back sector, so those fast right-handers, and he doesn't seem to get the car turned in properly into that double right at the late stage of the lap, but here comes McDonald, not close enough this time by, and coming into the pit lane as well. So McDonald doing the pit lane, James David not going to the pit lane, and I'm curious to see whether David is able to follow Romano closer now that McDonald is out of the way.
Ooh, McDonald was really pushing that pit entry, but he kept it together, and that could make the difference in the end with how close they've been with Romano. Now, we saw a couple more cars pitting on screen. That was Rodriguez and Oliveira, who have returned to the track in 19th and 21st, respectively. McDonald says he hit his stall cleanly. Yes, he does. So now he waits for roughly 8 to 10 seconds for his service. See if it's going to be a quick one. It's a good one. 8 seconds, and he's back out. Sebastian Prue also going to come in for fuel.
Yeah, Jorge Flores now ahead of him. I meant to talk about Flores earlier on. He had great pace before lap number 10 or so, but then he's kind of been inconsistent after that. But we'll have to see if McDonald is able to pass him quickly here because he is back in traffic. He's got Gore a lap down ahead of him once he's got past Flores. But I'm curious to see whether Flores will give the position easily or not. What do you think, Joe?
It's hard to tell with Jorge. I'm not sure if we've seen him in this position recently, and I can't recall how he tends to behave. But McDonald's, whatever the case, this is a hiccup in his plan because he definitely did not want traffic on his outlap. If Romano comes in now, which he's coming up to the pit lane soon, and he pits, then, and he is, this could make the difference on whether or not McDonald gets by or not. Almost into the wall for Romano.
That was so close. That was like a hair's width away from the wall. David being a little bit more conservative about it, but David and Romano both, they were really close to that, close to each other coming into the pit lane, so they should be coming out around the same time too. And now the question is, will you watch the pit stops if I'm watching Mark McDonald? Because McDonald is trying to pass Flores into the last corner and he's able to make it through into the hairpin. Oh, he's sliding a little bit wider though, but he's able to make the pass, but he lost a little bit of time there. We'll have to see if that drops him down to P number 3.
Flores isn't quite giving up on this one. And now he finally pulls in behind him. Romano is just past the cones now. McDonald has speed. This is going to be close, but the lack of grip, unfortunately, is going to deny him. He doesn't gain a position. He loses one as David gets by him.
That was exactly what he was fearing of happening. He lost just enough time on that lap that he dropped behind James David because David was, of course, right up to Romano. And look at the gap after lap after the exit of the pit lane and the gap after the exit of the pit lane, because Romano is a little bit quicker on it. David is being a little bit more conservative maybe about his lines. McDonald has some heat back into his tires. Even if they don't change him, they're gonna lose some heat in the pit lane. And Romano is right now on it, and he sees his chance because he now has a buffer between himself and Mark McDonald.
Incredibly in all this, we still haven't gotten a pit stop from Flores, who's trailing our leaders now. So he needs to come in, even though he's running within the top 5. He probably won't finish there. He needs to get his fuel. And we're waiting on Kyle Strykars as well as Bill Kraus to take their pit stops. Glenn Bowen, the 4th and final car that will need to get service. We are at the very end of the pit window, so we should expect them in soon as we continue to watch our leaders. And they're coming up on traffic. So traffic hurt McDonald in his pit stop sequence. I wonder if he'll find karma a little bit paying him back with the lapped cars having to be overtaken now by Romano.
Well, I wouldn't call it karma as much as, just being bad at maths. No, I'm kidding. But it's, McDonald, and wow, McDonald almost ran into David as they were trying to get by Spencer Semkovic. Flores is in too, but David now lost a lot of time and McDonald is right behind him. And trying for a pass into turn 3.
Oh, this is a very hairy spot to go side by side. He looks for the over-under, but he cuts it a little too tight, takes a lot of curb. That's going to slow him down. David lives to fight another day, but clearly McDonald has got the red mist down.
Yeah, old McDonald almost hold his farm care for that overtaking attempt. But the over-under, it was a good idea. Unfortunately, David saw that coming. Well, unfortunately for Mark, David saw that coming, and as a result of that, he had to cut it a little bit too deep, got too much of that curb, and got too much of the outside curb. And I wonder if he has some damage in his front splitter as a result of that. I'm not seeing anything so far, but we'll have to keep an eye on the situation because you need all the front downforce you can get in these Porsche cars.
So watch them weave their way back and forth, up and over the crests of these S's. The distance that they are losing up to Romano continues to extend. He's loving this, but David and McDonald certainly have got to get this sorted out and keep their pace up, as a little dip with the tires off into the dirt from McDonald slows him down out of turn 10. And still yet more lap traffic for Giovanni up in front of them. Isn't holding him back too badly. Everybody's behaving nicely here at the back of the pack.
Yeah, definitely so. I mean, no men behaving badly here. It's being great lap traffic. They're seeing the leaders coming. They're being predictable with their motions. They're not only getting out of the way, but they're being very predictable too. And that's the important thing. You wanna let the leaders know clearly what you're doing, and this is what they're doing. Staying out of the racing line, doing it well in advance, and a great job from all of the guys there.
Let's head up to P16. We've watched Mark File with his challenges today. Well, they're not over, because here's David Cristelli back with him once again, trying to sort out this position. Less than 10 minutes to go. It's Cristelli. It's red versus blue here in the Porsches. But he's way offline compared
actually
to
lost
what we
a
see.
position earlier on in this lap as well. Strikehardt was pitting very late, so he came into the back of that pack, if you're wondering where he is. But yeah, Mark File in the lead of that pack, Cristelli right behind him. So we'll have to wait and see what's going on in here. But Cristelli taking a very different approach to that hairpin. I'm sure he was actually braking a little bit too late there.
Yeah, and you mentioned the battle behind them as well between Strykars and Richards and Richter for 18th place. That's 3 of them, and actually they're looking like they're much closer. There you see him in the background right now, coming up the hill, braking hard for turn 2. Richards looks like he might still lose this position.
Hilton
right
has
back
spun.
to number 54.
Hilton has spun in turn number 6 in position number 10 and coming across the track, so he's going to lose a lot of positions, losing a bit of car as well as he hits the wall. And here comes Rodriguez as well. So Matt Hilton lost a couple of positions there, and he had a very unfortunate mistake indeed. He came into the corner braking a little bit too late, lost the back end as he was turning in, and he made the mistake of actually braking instead of holding his wheel straight. It's very difficult to save these cars, and well, that's what's going to happen. Losing a couple of positions behind Oliveira now.
He almost low centered it. The car nearly got stuck on the dirt embankment there. And he was certainly at a blind position, so that's why you saw him wait so long to try and make sure he's got the clear to get through. Hilton is going once again, but he's in P14 after that drama.
Also, no need to go to it, but Mark McDonald made a big mistake last time by on the corner before the hairpin, just at the exit of the S's, ran really wide over the sand, and he lost a lot of time to James David now. So he's actually 1.5 seconds behind.
So Hilton trying to get at least one of these spots back. That's Marco Oliveira. As they come up into turn 2 once again, they're not too far behind Kenny Rodriguez as well. So depending on how much hustle is left in that number 15 car, he could get at least 2 of the spots back, but he's going to have to work hard. Right now, though, he's not nearly close enough to try and get this back from the 44.
No, not at all. And, this is the point where Matt needs to just be calm. He made a mistake just like 5-6 minutes before the end of the race. And that's the worst time you can really make a mistake, because that's when you think it's all in the bag, and then you just lose the back end unnecessarily, and you lose all those points you were gonna gain. So he wants at least one of them back to Mark Oliveira, and I can see why. He's been faster than Mark all throughout the race. He's been faster than Kenny as well all throughout the race. He was ahead of them. In his head, he is thinking, I should be higher up. And now he's behind these guys, and he wants at least one, if not both of them. So he has to see whether Marco has the pace to actually catch up to Kenny. Kenny is, of course, his teammate as well. So we'll have to see if that plays a role in it. But Marco is definitely someone Matt wants, and we'll have to see if he has the pace and if the battle is over quickly enough for him to catch up to Kenny as well.
Meanwhile, let's go up to P5, because Sebastian Prue has got another car in his windscreen, and that is Daniel Zegers. He could get himself with the top 5 here, and he's been reeling him in bit by bit. It's been little inroads as the laps have ticked by, and he's within striking range at this point. So does he go for it quickly, knowing how little time is left on the clock? Well, now's a chance where he could go for it, because Zegers goes wide, coming through the double apex hairpin. They're going to be side by side into the S's. I've seen this go sour many times, but it won't this time, as it looks like Prue backs out of it.
Yeah, you're not going to go side by side through there, not with these cars. Well, you can, but you're going to lose so much time, and you're never sure where you can really pass or not. So Prue knows he's faster. He definitely knows he's faster than Zegers right now. It's just a question of where he can pass. Zegers looks like to me he has maybe worn out his tires a little bit too much. That was an odd mistake he made on that double apex though. He just braked too late. He didn't look it up or anything, just braked too late. Maybe taking the wide line instead of trying to desperately turn it into the corner, and knowing Prue can't really do anything here. So well done for him for keeping his composure, but that's going to allow Prue to get even closer than before.
They're coming up on a wrecked car here, because this Kyle Strykars, he gets going. I was keeping an eye out as they continue to approach. Strykars was sitting stationary for a long time. Still, this battle continues as they head through turn 4, starting to go back downhill. A lot of wheel spin there for Sebastian, trying to get those tires to grip.
Yeah, and an interesting battle as well, for those guys. Zegers just gonna hold on to it right now, but
and James David must have had an issue, and I think it might have been lap traffic, because I see a car off. No, it's not.
Yeah.
This is just a mistake.
Yeah, he came into the double apex right-hander, braking a little bit too late. We have seen those tires go out before, and there's no way to really save these, because there's so many electronics in these cars. There's so much interference to the driver in these cars that you can't really save it once it goes over the tipping point, and he just has to take that agonizing slow half spin, and losing a lot of time there did James David, and Mark McDonald getting ahead of him as a result.
McDonald was waiting a long time for that one. But now he's got to fend off James David, because look at how close he's riding behind. Romano continuing to stretch away now that mistake has given him even more buffer with only 3 minutes left to go. I think we're looking at 2 more laps next time across the line.
Yeah, and that's very, very weird from Richards, trying to let him through on the inside, but then realizing he can't run in the sand. So Actually, McDonald had to slow down a little bit due to that lap car, and David's gonna catch right back up to him, and I'm sure David's kicking himself over the head for trying just a little bit too hard, and I can see why, because he had really no realistic chance to catch Romano, but that's not gonna stop a racing driver from trying, so just a bit of an error, and he's gonna get back past McDonald here. Remember, this has championship implications. These are, even if it's early going, so these guys are just 1 point apart in the season standings.
Well, as much as these two keep fighting, they need to watch out for Romano, because if they keep fighting each other, Romano could keep snagging wins like this, and he could be the Prost, their spoiler, circa 86, if he keeps just finishing ahead. And you can see him coming to the line, and the big gap that he's got behind. David is definitely on the attack and has been poking his nose here and there. Hilton had another spin as all this was going on. He gets the car going again.
Yeah, and Hilton's having some difficulties.
Prue had a problem.
Well, and Prue had a problem as well. Yeah, from P number 6, he actually spun on the exit of the double apex right-hander and hit the curb, and the rear wheels hopped up in the air, and he had to wait for a long time to get that car turned around, even hit the wall a little bit there, and he lost a lot of time.
Wide from McDonald. Oh, and he cuts him off. Inches between the cars as they come down through turn 5. Covers him off once again down into turn 6. So, looking both ways, weaving and trying to find a way through, but McDonald is making that Porsche extra wide.
Yeah, he's making very wide indeed. It's wide delivery here, boys. McDonald almost making the same mistake as David there. You don't necessarily see it on the screen, but the way that car is kinda gliding on the entry of the corner, and you're gonna feel the weight shift. Yeah, that's something these drivers are clearly not so used to at this point yet. So far into this young season, into the young life of this car on the iRacing service. So that's something they're gonna have to get used to on where that threshold lies.
Romano takes the white flag here after just 2 more corners, and he can work his way home for his first victory of the season. Pulling the wool over the eyes of these two is, oh my goodness, that was a very wide exit for McDonald.
Yeah, McDonald making a mistake and David getting a good exit. You already saw it on the entry of the corner, how well he was able to get off. This is going to be a fantastic battle in the last lap. David's all over him, and McDonald's is gonna have to play defense. He's gonna have to dig deep into those trenches, and he's gonna hold off those attacks once again, just for 1 more lap.
The question, though, is how aggressive is David going to be? Is there going to be car contact here? Are they going to play nice? Oh, another big slip up. There is car contact, but it was trying to save the car. McDonald off course, trying to desperately keep it out of the barriers. He collects it, and David streaks on. LeBlanc is too far back for McDonald to be caught, so he's going to at least get 3rd out of this.
Wow. So just as you were saying it, Joe, there was car contact. It was McDonald himself losing it on the exit, getting a little bit too wide, having to wiggle it back, and that's when David hit him. But David really, he was doing his best to avoid him, and it was just a question of, car coming in the way. But I believe we should go to Giovanni Romano now.
We see him on screen. Just a couple more corners to go through the sweeping turn 10. Getting back onto the throttle, and then it's a hard push on the binders for one last time into the hairpin. This bright purple car for Lavender Racing has not won yet this season, but he's changing that in just a few seconds' time. The 99 car is your victor here today in California.
And P-Nub... Yeah, Bertham and Duval kind of close actually. P number 6 and 7 is interesting because they got lapped cars ahead of him still here on the last lap, so potentially there could be an overtake here into the last corner. Doesn't look so, but Duval has been consistently faster, unfortunately not quite able to catch up.
Yeah, unless we see a big mistake off the corner here.
Oh,
It looks so... Oh, that... Duval? No, he's a little too far back there. So let's go back to Padavani, because he's in a nice little tussle and actually almost making contact with Marco Oliveira now.
Yeah, and he is trying to get past through the S's, but he only has realistically 1 more chance in this race, and that is the final hairpin. He needs to get closer, so he needs to get very close, so he needs to risk it all. I'm gonna bet he's gonna either come close enough or hit the wall here, because that's how much he needs to attack, and he's, well, we'll see a deep lunge if he goes for it. I don't think he should, but we'll see it deep if he does. No, he doesn't.
Does break later, but it's just too little too late. So indeed, Oliveira is going to be able to take home this 12th. What about Cristelli? He's got to worry about a smooth throttle application.
Yeah, but not gonna be able to get close enough on the final hairpin. Close, but not quite close enough. I think File was even lifting on the last straight just to rub it in a little bit. But those are the final two guys on the lead lap as well. Matt Hilton and Richter gonna finish behind him on the lead lap as well, and that's it. 18 cars on the lead lap, a typical Sonoma race, but Joe, it was an absolute banger.
Oh, this was a fantastic race. I'm enjoying this series. This is a great addition, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the show because we've got more to come. We'll have the unofficial results as well as driver interviews. Stick around because on screen you'll see all the upcoming races here on GSRC. Welcome back to Sonoma Raceway. Round 3 of the PRL GT4 Clubsport Series was won by Giovanni Romano. 3 different winners in the 3 first rounds of the season. This could be a fascinating fight. James David is the one who came home in second, with Mark McDonald behind him in third. McDonald making a small error at the end really cost him, but at least he got a podium out of it. Eric LeBlanc nearly ran him down. If he was a little closer, he could have maybe snuck into the third spot. Daniel Zagers was in P5. He was followed home by Jerome Bertome in 6th position. Then you got Kenny Duval, who was 7th today. Jorge Flores from 12th to 8th. Nice little jump up the order with Sebastian Prue behind him. A mistake, unfortunately, cost him what could have been a much better finish. He was 9th today. Steve Baker rounds out your top 10.
Nicholas Dell coming home 11th, ahead of Kenny Rodriguez, car number 969. Rising up from 21st to 12th, a shoe-in for the Hard Charger Award today. Marco Oliveira finishing 13th, just ahead of Jefferson Padovani on the last lap. Mark File 15th, David Cristelli 16th, another great battle between those two. Then it's Matt Hilton 17th, Mike Richter 18th, and Jeremy Daniel 1 lap down 19th, and Christopher Richards 1 lap down, rounding out your top 20.
21st went to Danny Duchesne, with Bill Kraus in 22nd and Spencer Zemkovich in 23rd. Bruce Jones in 24th today, followed by Troy Banks and Kyle Strykar's last two cars, one lap down. Then from there, you get into people who had some big issues. Brian Hotham, Bowen, Gore, etc. And a few DNFs, very few, down at the very end. Now, our winner joins us here. First time winning this season here in the GT4 Clubsport Series. Giovanni, it seemed like everybody else behind you was more interested in fighting each other instead of you.
Yeah, definitely in that last stint that's appeared what happened. For the first stint, it was wild, man. Just want to thank Mark and James for a really clean race. Mark especially was on my bumper there the entire time, was really making me sweat trying to keep him behind me.
Yeah, and you saw that he came in and pit a lap earlier than you. Was that pit strategy in response to him, or was that your scheduled stop lap?
Yeah, that was I was running out of fuel, so that was the latest I could have pit. So for him, that was a strategy call to try and maybe get an undercut.
Obviously, that didn't quite work out in the end, but this is a difficult track to pass at, admittedly. If we were at a different track, do you think you would have had a harder time keeping him behind and holding on to that lead?
Definitely before the pit stop there. And Mark, I think he had edge on pace, but as you said, Sonoma's a hard track to pass at. So I was just focusing on getting good corner exits, especially into the hairpins, to prevent him from getting any serious looks at me.
It all worked out in the end with that sort of strategy. Now, is there anybody you'd like to thank before we let you go for this victory?
Yeah, thank you guys for the broadcast. Thanks to PRL for running everything. And also thanks to Mark and James for a good race out there today.
Fantastic stuff there from Giovanni Romano, our winner, third out of three here today in the GT4 Club Sports Series. In the meantime, Ossian, I believe, has caught up with our second place finisher, James David.
James, you were playing possum for the first stint. It seemed like watching the two leaders battle it out. We had a question in the commentary booth during the course of that stint, and I want you to answer that. Were you actually intentionally holding back a little bit, watching the two, and then waiting to pounce if they come against each other, or were you actually struggling to stay right behind them?
See if we can get a copy from James here. Seems a little quiet right now. Must be tired after a hard fight like that at the end. So it looks like we'll talk to Mark McDonald instead in the meantime. Mark, it's been a fascinating fight to watch from our end, but probably a little bit frustrating from your side of things. You both got jumped in the pits, and then it seems at the end a little mistake was costly.
Well, Joe, I saw some long grass out there. I wanted to make sure it got trimmed down on the outside of that corner. They got to get the mowers out there. That's ridiculous. No, but seriously, no, it was a great race with Giovanni and with James. I mean, Giovanni and I were super tight the entire race, and kind of I said to myself, you got to take a chance. You know, you might come out behind someone that's running for position, but that's just the chance you got to take to try to jump them in the pits. And unfortunately, I fueled just a little bit long from what I needed, about an extra lap of fuel, and ended up coming out behind someone that, it held me up a little bit, probably not that much, and just came out at the end there. And then I pushed too hard trying to just figure out something that might work, and took it off. But I had a really fun time. Those guys are really great to race against week in and week out, and having a blast in this series.
Well, I'm going to have to get my binoculars out because I'm not sure where you see any grass that's alive out here. But we noticed that you have what we believe is your clan colors on the hood of the car. Is that correct? Can you tell us a little bit more about that decision to decorate that way?
I was looking for something to, just some kind of paint to put on my car a couple of seasons ago, and I came up with, this tartan is a pretty good looking tartan. My last name is McDonald, but I'm almost 100% Polish. So I'm really just Scottish in name only. But I decided to really lean into it. I made a little Chicago flag with the tartan. That's what the stars and the tartan bars are. And then the front hood obviously is all tartan, which was a real pain to put together the very first time because I had to piece together all these little blocks. But now I just copy and paste on every new car I paint.
Well, see, you could have had us fooled there this whole time. We were thought, oh, it's so neat that a McDonald has an accurate clan colors on his car. But regardless, now we've got one race split evenly between you, Giovanni, and James of the first 3 races of the season. It's hard to choose between you 3, so I'll put it on you. Although I think I know what the answer might be. Who do you think has the edge between you 3?
I mean, honestly, I think James.
Oh, see, I expected you to say you.
I realize I should just go, me all the way. I'm putting in the hours I mean, I actually feel, I wish that I could have gotten second or made one of those moves to the lead stick in this race, obviously. But this track has not been that fantastic for me. I love it in real life. If you ever get a chance to visit, it's a fantastic track. I've had the good fortune to be able to go and watch races there. Just fantastic because you can see the whole thing. It's beautiful. And it's right in wine country too, so you can then go up to the vineyards. But no, I mean, on this track, I'm just happy to take home a third and just kind of stay in the title fight here. Between all of us, I think that we kind of have tracks that favor us and tracks that we struggle a little bit at. I'm looking forward to kind of getting away from Sonoma in this car. I will say for the Porsche Cayman, I mean, this thing's squirming all over the place. There's a huge smile on your face when you're driving it around here because you really have to kind of toss it sideways in every corner just to get every last, millimeter out of it, which is really, really a blast. And I think speaks to the platform that they got here for the Porsche.
I know I've been enjoying driving it as well. Well, thanks for coming and talking to us, Mark, and best of luck at the next round.
Really appreciate it. Really appreciate SimMSA and PRL for the league and sponsorship of the league, and GSRC for broadcasting it. You guys have a good week. See you next week or the week after.
Yep, we'll be back in 2 weeks' time for the next one. And in the meantime, it looks like we got things sorted out with James David. So Ossian's now going to do our interview with him.
Hi, guys.
Yes, indeed. Thanks, Joe. Hello, James. A wonderful second place out here for you today. 6.3 seconds out from Romano, but more importantly, your lead in the championship, I believe it will continue. But tell us about that first stint, first and foremost. You were behind that battle duo of Giovanni Romano and Mark McDonald. Were you holding back the entire time, or was their pace just so fast that you kind of had to, try your best to hold right behind them?
Yeah, a little bit of both because at the end of the practice, I realized the guy seems to be faster than me. The temperature was raising, so I was expecting those 2 guys to be faster. So I realized very fast that they were very fast at the start of the race. I don't know for you, but it was an amazing race. It's years I didn't have my so heat when I finished my shirt is wet. My God, it's amazing. These guys were so fast. So when I realized they were that fast, I decide, like you say, to pull back a little, but try to stay in the draft within 1 second. But it was difficult, I was expecting them to probably use more their tire than me, but it didn't happen for Romano. Giovanni, he was amazing tonight. So a little bit of both. Yeah, I tried to hold back to prevent my tire wear, but it was very difficult.
Well, James, it's been a good season for you so far, and was a good finish out from here today. But as you said, tough challenge. Your shirt is all wet. You have to change all your clothes. Probably get a nice shower in. How about Road America next week? It's a very fast circuit. Once again, we are staying in the US. How's the track for you? How do you like it?
I really like Road America. It's a very fast track with a little, not a lot of big braking. That's a track that I like very much, but to say if I will be better than McDonald and Giovanni, it's hard to say right now. I think we are lucky to have that match in that season, the 3 guy. We really have a similar pace, so I think it will be again really good race, but usually I'm better at Road America than Sonoma, so I'm expecting to probably take the pole, or I don't know. I don't know if I'm leading the championship, but that should be close right now. The points, it's amazing with those two guys.
Yeah, and you know, it's been a lack of entertainment in the real world. Racing series closed, and even like sports series are now off the schedule. So I'm
Yeah.
glad this series is providing us with some fantastic entertainment and a great battle. Do you think it's gonna be like NHL playoffs, or at least providing a little bit of security now that the NHL season is cancelled? You're a big hockey fan, right?
Sorry, what do you say at the end? I don't understand.
Are you a big hockey fan?
Yeah, I'm a hockey fan, yeah, but I didn't listen often than before. I'm less fan right now, but I think it's we are lucky in the sim community, for especially the racing community. It's amazing. I just listened to the NASCAR race. I don't know if you checked that this weekend. It was just amazing, the NASCAR race. I
Yeah.
was listening to that, and I think I was more entertained than a real race. It was amazing. The guy were more prepared. There wasn't a lot of yellow flag, and we had the Quebecers that was there, Alex Labbé. We know him very much, so we there's a lot of Quebecers that were following that. Alex Labbé was like second place, and he got a crash at the end. So I don't know if you listened to that, but that was amazing. So it's great time. The only positive thing right now about the crisis we know is probably that the sim racing got really a really good place right now, and a lot of people discover iRacing and your channel.
Yeah, that's a
Thank
great
you,
thing.
guys. That was I just want to listen to that again, because you make all week an amazing job. So I thank you very much again.
No, thank you, James, too, because it's drivers like you, James David, and Mark McDonald, and of course Giovanni Romano and everyone else who is providing us with the content. I think people love to watch you guys battle, and I hope it's a good, clean battle all throughout the season for rest of these 9 races. And I wish you, man, the best of luck. Best of luck for the rest of the season, man. Good luck and thank you.
Thank you very much, and see you. I think it's next week. I don't know if you stream it, but anyway, see you next time. Thank you very much.
Bye bye.
That was second place finisher James David. We do have information about the next race we'll be covering. We'll get to that in just a second. But before that, we're going to close up with some thank yous. First off to our sponsors, Simulation Motorsports Affinity. Of course, you can find them at SIMMSA.net. And the ButtKicker. You can find them at thebuttkicker.com to see what they can do for your sim rig to help make it all the more realistic. Thanks goes out to the companies that provide the software and the hardware for our broadcast. They're listed here on your screen. Additional thanks go to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. And thanks to the team today, Ossian, Sean, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. We've also got social media outlets. Our Twitter is at GSR Channel, Facebook is Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram is GSRC_Graham. If you'd like to support the channel, make sure and check out our merchandise store. It's gsrc.storenv.com. And make sure you get some of that awesome Red Brand gear. Just put a hashtag Red Brand if you post it on social media, and we'll try and make sure and share that around. Link, of course, is in the description below. Now, the next race is going to be, that we cover, is going to be at Snetterton, and that'll be round 5. It'll be Tuesday, April 13th at 9 p.m. Eastern. But if you are on the iRacing service and you do want to watch this race in the sim, their next one will be a week from now, and that will, of course, be at Road America, as we mentioned. We have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and see you on the track.